Hello everyone, my name is Charlie and welcome to my channel. Today we are going to go through the books I've read this year. So I'm going to do it in chronological order, starting with the first book and then ending with the current ones I'm reading. So let's just get right into it. The first one is The Word for World is Forest by Ursula K. Le Guin. I gave this book a 3 out of 5 stars. Even though this book was first published in 1972, I still feel like it's a very relevant book. It touches topic that translates well into today's world. I mean, the obvious ones are going to be like environmental destruction and cultural erasure and the military. And yeah, I feel like the way it's written, it's very easy to read, and the reason I just gave it 3 out of 5 is just I feel like the writing style isn't my preferred one. So that takes it down a bit, because not that I struggle with it, but it's just like it didn't make me have I didn't have many emotions while reading it. It was very like reading through it, I was like, okay, I get like the topics and stuff, but for me it was more than that. Next up, Nick and Charlie by Alice Oseman. I gave this one a 5 out of 5. It's all the Heartstopper books that I've read. It's just like in that universe. I just really like that universe. It's heartwarming. You can feel sad about certain parts, happy, laugh with them, and it's just like a feel-good book for sure. I really enjoy the characters. I feel like I have like a deep bond with them. For me, that's very important. Like, if I can't relate to a character, or I can't kind of visualize myself as them, I struggle to give a book any higher than a 4. And yeah, it's a very easy book to read. I flew through it. I think I read it in a day. It's one of those types. Next up is The Alchemist by Michael Scott. This one I gave a 5 out of 5 as well. I really enjoy magical universes. Things that have magic in it, that are like fantasy-esque, I really enjoy. And I don't know if you guys can see, but it's flickering in the back. I'm sorry about that. I don't know what's going on. Anyways, this was a very fast read. I read it, I just wanted to keep going. It was very interesting. It was like constantly something happening, a bit like, action-packed, I think. And I feel like the characters are well written. I feel like I like that it's set in today's world, but still some of the characters are really old. And I think it's a good mix, that you have like new elements with things that are kind of known in like typical magical universe books. If you have read any, you will find like similarities to be like, oh, okay, it feels like everything is like in this one puddle together, which is I find very nice, because I enjoy when books kind of feel real. So yeah. Next up we have Cyberpunk 2077, No Coincidence by Rafal Koshik. I gave this one a 2 out of 5, and it was because I had high expectations for this one, as I enjoy the game. But when I was reading, I just couldn't really get into it. I struggled a lot getting through it. At one point, it just started feeling like, like those quests in game where you're like, okay, I just have to get through this, so I'm just like skipping dialogues, getting straight to the action. That was how this book was feeling. Yeah, I was wanting to skip a lot of dialogue and just get into the action. And for me, it was just a little boring. I just struggled to get through this book, which was such a shame, because I had high hopes. It's things that I like, so I was expecting to enjoy the book. Next up is Whispers Underground by Ben Aronovich. He is definitely one of my favorite authors. This is the 3rd book in the Rivers of London series, and I love this book series. It's such a fun universe. It's obviously set in London, and it's a detective slash supernatural mix, and I feel like that mix is really good because there's just so much to take from, and I find it very interesting how he has combined it to like, yeah, there's like these people living in the sewers, there's people living in the rivers. I'm trying to just not like spoil anything, so I'm just trying to keep it, yeah, I'm just trying not to spoil anything, so I'm just keeping it to that level. But it's, the characters are really well written. I can really like feel like I know them, and yeah, it's definitely. Oh wait, I gave it a 5 out of 5, by the way. It's the first one I gave a 5 out of 5 in the series. Yeah, definitely one of my favorites. I need to continue this series. Next up, we have Chainsaw Man 7 and 8 by Tatsuki Fujimoto, and I gave both of them 5 out of 5. I think I've given basically all. Yeah, I think I've given basically all of them a 5 out of 5. It's just it's like comedy and action mixed together. It's a really fun read. The characters are very entertaining, and like the fight scenes are good. Yeah, it's just like drawing style, and I just really enjoy these types of like monster manga type. I guess the closest one I can think of right now is Tokyo Ghoul, which I really enjoyed. So for me, yeah, it's like the perfect one for me. Someone, I don't remember who it was, but someone suggested it to me, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna give it a try, and I definitely fell in love on the first read. So I need to also watch the anime because people say it's really good. Next up, we have The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn by Mark Twain. I gave this a 1 out of 5. So this one was just not for me. I mean, the topics are, very serious topics about slavery, racism, all that stuff, and I don't know, I was expecting something different, to be a bit more, I don't know, well written, in my opinion. It might be the translation, because I read this one in Norwegian, so it might be the translation. I don't know, it's kind of hard to say. But I just found myself not caring for any of the characters, and I was just wishing for the book to end. And I find that such a shame when it's a classic book that is highly praised. So yeah, but yeah, that's just my opinion. It's always a shame giving books low scores, but I have to be honest. So yeah. Next up, we have If Cats Disappeared from the World by Genki Kawamura. I gave this one a 4 out of 5, and this one was suggested by my girlfriend. I didn't read the synopsis. I didn't read the synopsis or like the thing at the back. I had no idea what it was about. I just said, sure, I'll read it, and I was shocked when like the premise of the book was about such a deep topic as death. I was pleasantly surprised over how it was delivered. It was a very thought-provoking book. It made me feel a lot of things. I was like, wow, while reading it, like, this is deep, but there is like this kind of, like the person as death is like the comedic relief character, and it worked very well. Yeah, it's a good book. I really recommend this one. It's gonna make you think about different things of life, and I find that I love books that makes me reflect or think after reading it or during. So yeah. Next up, we have Dragon of Deceit. It's the first book in Dragonlance Destinies series. I gave this book a 4 out of 5. I haven't read fantasy like this in a while. I was really excited about this one because it's set in the D&D universe, and this was a book I flew through. Like, I couldn't put it down. It was my like before bed books. I was like reading until like 1 a.m., 2 a.m., just trying to get as many chapters as possible. It was a book that, yeah, like I had so many different emotions while reading this. I feel like all the characters are so well crafted. It like I can like see it as a movie in my head, which is great. And like the main character, oh, the emotions. I went on from rooting on her to absolutely despising her at the end. I was like, God damn, I cannot believe this happened, type of thing. So I'm really excited to see how her character evolves and how she can have a redemption arc from this, because it was bad. I was shocked. I was like, I cannot believe you done this. No, absolutely not. But overall, it was very entertaining and I really enjoyed it. Next up, we have Welcome to the Hyonnamdong Bookshop by Hwang Borum. I gave this one a 4 out of 5. And I'll get back to that on the end. Why I wanted to give this a 5 out of 5. I really did. But let's start with that. This was a debut book, and I was like, no, in a sense that I want to read more from this author because I really loved her writing style and I just wanted to read more. I was laughing and almost crying. I was like reflecting on things. I love books that are slice of life. A lot of people might find this genre a bit boring because technically there isn't much happening, it's just everyday life. But for me, I find it very charming to just get a sneak peek into a person's life and their feelings and thoughts about, yeah, life. And I found it like, yeah, very comforting to listen to the characters' everyday struggle and how they're dealing with it and so on. I feel like the characters were very well written and fit each other well. The reason I'm not giving this a 5 out of 5 is that I wish there was a little bit more depth. But I get it. The book can't be it can be, but like a billion pages long, and I hope that she will write more about them because I want to know more. Then next up is Dracula by Bram Stoker. I gave this one 2 out of 5, and I want to read this one again because I feel like for me this book I need to read it in an analytical way instead of a just standard ordinary book way, because for me I think it was a bit boring to just read it straight on. Like I think there's a lot of things that I want to look into and see like the deeper meaning of things and compare to different letters that are in there, and like, yeah, there's just a lot I want to explore with it. So I think I'm gonna give it another try maybe next year. And yeah, it took me over 2 months to read because I was just struggling to get through it, and that's why I was like, yeah, I can't read this book like this. Let's get into my current books. I'm currently reading 2 books. I have one as a day book and one as an evening book / my bedtime book. And yeah, my daytime book is Roadwork by Richard Bachman, also known as Stephen King. And honestly, right now I'm finding it a bit boring. But I'm still like in the early stages of it, so the character is still being kind of developed. I've got a bit of story, like a bit of backstory, but not that much. So I'm not gonna give up the hope for it yet. If I'm like halfway and it's still the same, I'm gonna be like, damn. But I rarely do not finish books. Even though I am hating myself reading it, I will finish it. My nighttime book, on the other hand, is A Little Hatred, which is a part of a trilogy by Joe Abercrombie, which is one of my favorite authors. I like his writing style, and I love the way he writes about war, politics, and love. I feel like it's just very well crafted, and even though things are set in different universes and stuff, they all kind of feels the same, which I think is a great thing. Like he sets his book, I feel like, almost in the same time period, so I really like that. It's one of my favorite like times with like fantasy. The only problem I'm having currently with this book is that it changes perspective almost each chapter. So sometimes you can, on the first line, you can be like, okay, this person, okay, great, I know where we are. But sometimes I have to read like half the page before I'm like, oh, this is where we are now. Okay. And for me, I feel like having a better distinction for when you're a different character would be great, because it takes me a little while to get rewired to get the voices correct. Because I tend to read with voices. Each character has a different voice, because in my head it's a movie, so it's very interesting. I really enjoy reading books where I can easily imagine myself in it and be able to change between characters and stuff. And yeah, I do find it very entertaining, and I like that there is short chapters though. So if I am very tired, I can still finish a chapter and get to bed and be fine. And sometimes the chapters are longer. Obviously, if it's a war scene, it's gonna be a long chapter. I'm currently gonna start a war chapter now. I was saving it so that I can read it when I'm a bit more awake. But yeah, that's all the books I've read this year. Usually, so my goal is always 30 books. This year I am ending on 14. It was a slow year for me. But hopefully next year I have like more books that I want to read. Like I have more books that I want to read and look into, and especially more classics and a bit more of like poetry as well, because I've been getting into that. But if you guys have any recommendations based on what I read, I mean, I read a lot of different genres, honestly. I am not that picky when it comes to trying new genres or new authors or anything. Any recommendations, please let me know in the comments down below. And I guess I'll see you around. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye bye.